then nightly sings the staring owl. To-woo, to-wit, to-woo.
Robin Dietrichs is the most amazing, steadfast teacher that I've ever met. My child was in her class, and I think seeing her work with students has been absolutely inspirational to me. Everything she does, she layers and takes the best of different instructional and research-based strategies and puts them into practice in her room. If it works one year, she does it. If it doesn't, she changes it up and is constantly looking to improve for the particular kids that she has.
All right, now it's your job to score me. Look at your partner. My students really have large academic needs, and I know that they need me to push them, to have rigorous expectations for them, because I know that it can change their whole life.
She cares about how students, how they succeed in their work, and she cares about whether we graduate from the 4th grade and move on to the 5th grade.
My daughter's in middle school, and she refers back to when I was in 4th grade 3 years ago, I learned something from Ms. Dietrichs, and it's helping me today. And that's the kind of teaching that we all, as professionals, hope that in the future, our kids are going to remember us as they go on.
So read that sentence.
The world is
Please join me in congratulating Robin Dietrichs. Come on up, Robin! Where is she? There she comes.
Wow, I did not expect for this to happen. I would like to thank you, Superintendent Russell, school board members, Nancy Waite, Cynthia Ramirez, and the Futures Foundation for this great honor. It is truly a humbling experience to be accepting this award. I'm honored to be among such a remarkable and distinguished group of educators who represent the best that Volusia County has to offer. To all of my fellow Teacher of the Year recipients, I commend you. Your dedication to teaching has led you to be recognized as outstanding, passionate, creative educators who inspire and support your students every day. I challenge you to continue your pursuit of excellence till the very last day of your career. As you well know, teaching is not a solo event. Through my years of teaching, I have had many people who have supported and shaped who I am today. My alma mater, Stetson University, trained me and continues to contribute to my professional growth. Dr. Hines, I especially want to thank you for being a guiding light for me throughout my career, from the first moment that I stepped through Stetson's doors until today. I especially want to thank my administrators that I've had over the years. Jerry Gill was my first principal, Dave Fisher, Joanne Rodkey, Willie Williams, and Jasmine Henson have all given me tremendous opportunities to experiment and try new ideas, sometimes harebrained ideas, but definitely new. And I thank you all for taking a risk on me. Teaching is not done in a bubble, as you know, and the teachers that we rub shoulders with every day shape who we are. To name all of the amazing teachers that I have taught with over the years would keep us here all night, and I know nobody wants that. But I'm thankful for each and every one of them. I would be remiss, however, if I failed to mention the most important teachers in my life. First, retired Volusia County teacher Deborah Roberts, who holds the title of my mom, and I can certainly say that without her guidance, love, and support, I would not be standing before you this evening. Everything, and if you know my mom, you know this to be true, everything I know about writing, I've learned from her. For the last 5 years, I had the privilege of co-teaching with her writing, and I just have to say that that is one of the biggest blessings that God has bestowed on my life. Thank you, Mom, and please, please, please don't stop volunteering in my classroom. I love you. you. To my dad, Jim Roberts, who's also a retired Volusia County school teacher, I want to thank you for teaching me intermediate math. I was a primary teacher until I went to Blue Lake 5 years ago and was in 4th grade. And I also want to thank you for teaching me about the value of a Skittle. I would also like to thank my sister Tammy, who has supported my classroom endeavors throughout my career. She even bought me my own document camera and never fails to send my students gifts. And to my sons, Zachary, Eli, and Max, and my nephew Casey, I want to thank you for putting up with all the teacher talk that you've endured through the years and the long hours that you've spent at school when we've stayed late. Finally, the most important relationships in my teaching career, the students. They are the reason that I stay up late at night, grading, laboring over what I need to do to improve, talking to parents, surfing the web, Twittering with fellow educators. There's probably people here that I Twitter with that I have no idea that you're here, but that's been a new passion of mine. I count it as an immense privilege but also responsibility to instruct students in Volusia County. The power that a teacher has to change a student's life is immeasurable. As the great author Dr. Seuss stated, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. It reminds me of a student I had several years ago, Chris. He wrote about me by saying that when school started, I hated reading. But my teacher, Mrs. Diedrichs, kept pushing me to read because reading is important in life. So now every day I read calmly because I thought reading was boring. But now it shows me a picture in my head that I think is real. As teachers, we all have students, stories like that, and these are the stories that we should hold fast to. As stated by Nikos Kazantakis, true teachers are those who use themselves as bridges over which they invite their students to cross. Then, having facilitated their crossing, joyfully collapse, encouraging them to create their own. Thank you so much.
I'd like to present you this check and vehicle to drive for the year as part of your award for your great achievements, being Teacher of the Year for Volusia County. So enjoy it and enjoy your reign. Give her a round of applause.
And before you go, we want to present this proclamation from Volusia County, Florida, as today being Robin Diedrichs Day.
So I just want to say to you, thank you, because without you students, I would not be Teacher of the Year. You are the amazing people at this school, and I'm proud to represent Blue Lake Elementary School. We're an awesome school, right? Woo! Thank you so much.
I call today's school board meeting, March 15th, to order. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Good afternoon, and I want to thank each of you for attending today's meeting in person or via the internet. Just a few housekeeping items. Please silence your cell phones. If your cell phone should ring and disturb the meeting, we will be looking for a $50 check made out to Futures for disrupting our meeting. Secondly, in order for our meeting to move in an efficient manner, we ask that you refrain from clapping, chanting, or speaking out when someone is presenting. At this time, I would like to welcome the guests on the dais. To my left, Mrs. Linda Cuthbert, representing District 3, Dr. John Hill, representing District 1. In lieu of Mr. Ted Duran, we have Mr. Sims, our school board attorney. To my far right, I have Mrs. Connie Wise, our agency clerk. Mrs. Linda Costello, who unfortunately could not join us today in person or via the phone. Ms. Melody Johnson, our vice chairman, representing District 5. Mr. James T. Russell, our superintendent. And hi, I'm Ida Wright, representing District 2, chairman for this year. Items for approval on the agenda are items 1.03, 2.01, 2.02, 5.01, 5.02, 6.01, 7.01, 17.01, 20.01, 21.01, 21.02, 24.01, 24.02, and 25.01. We have public participation twice during this meeting, shortly for items requiring approval on the agenda and for items of general interest pertaining to public education in Volusia County, or public comments on policies 217, student and parents, dress and uniform code. At each meeting, we have a school board member who will bring greetings as it relates to the school's vision statement, the district's vision statement, and today's honor goes to Mrs. Linda Cuthbert.
Our district's vision statement is to ensure that all students receive a superior 21st century education. But not all education occurs within a classroom's walls. We encourage students to join clubs, enroll in career academies, participate in the arts, contribute to athletics, all which allow students to engage in activities outside the traditional classroom, where students can find new learning opportunities to give back to their communities. High school guidance counselors instruct their students that a well-rounded student with sights set on college, a career, or the military is one who has really good SAT, ACT scores, a healthy GPA, and has at least 20 hours of community service. Our school district must model that advice, and we too should give back to our community. Only by assisting one another can we truly be human.
Thank you, Mrs. Cuthbert. Moving to item 1.03, approval of the minutes from February 9th meeting and February 23rd regular session.
So moved.
Second.
The minutes has been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The motion is carried. Mr. Superintendent, have anyone asked to have anything removed from the consent agenda or the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. There is agenda item changes. Item 23.1, 23.4, and 24.2 will be moved after item 4.01, public participation.
Okay. Is there approval of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The motion was carried. We will move to 3.01, presentation of e-learning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through numerous actions and conversations over the past year, this board has been committed to increasing student graduation rates, and closing the achievement gaps. It has done so, Madam Chair, by applying resources and programs to high schools, keeping the issue of increasing the graduation rate as a priority in this school district. An example of this commitment took place last summer when this board appropriated $750,000 for e-learning labs at every high school. Spruce Creek will soon be aboard. This initiative purchased computers, teaching positions, facility upgrades that were needed for the labs. At this time, we would like to bring the board an update on the e-learning labs.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Russell. It is with great enthusiasm and pride that I share with you today the progress of our e-learning expansion project and the positive impact it's having on student graduation rates. For nearly 20 years, our district has been successfully offering students a unique online learning program to meet the needs of high school juniors and seniors who were either trying to catch up to their graduation cohort group or accelerate their learning to earn an early diploma. We have celebrated an average of approximately 200 students per school year who may not have otherwise been successful in the traditional high school experience. With your unanimous approval last spring, I worked with the high school principals and district operations team to prepare 7 high schools to launch their own e-learning program in August of 2015. The 2 district programs currently located at University High and Atlantic High have remained intact for the current school year to enable currently enrolled e-learning students the time to complete their courses of study and to allow for preparations to be completed at Spruce Creek High School. We are on track to launch the Spruce Creek program in August 2016 and to relinquish the district programs at both University and Atlantic to the staff of each respective school. Things have been very positive this year with the implementation of new staff, new technology, and more creative ways to personalize learning for even more students to successfully graduate with or ahead of their cohort. The current data for this school year is impressive. 700 students have been served by an e-learning program. 1,000 course completions have been logged, and schools have celebrated 70 graduates, and these numbers will increase by June. The benefit of having an e-learning program at each high school site in 2016 will ensure that our district goal of increased student achievement will see movement in the upward direction and provide solutions for students who are seeking a non-traditional pathway for earning their high school diploma. Today, I've asked that both Atlantic High School and DeLand High School provide a brief glimpse of the e-learning program's impact on student and teacher morale. First, you will hear from Atlantic team principal Mr. Jim Tager, e-learning veteran teacher Ms. Debbie Calloway, and e-learning graduate Mr. Tanner Contney. Following this dynamic group will be Team DeLand High, sitting behind me, Principal Mr. Mitch Moyer, e-learning teacher Ms. Carol Ann Allgood, and e-learning student Mackenzie Hyatt. We'll also pause for transition of background video and pictures. And Mr. Tager, you're up.
Good afternoon, Chairman Wright, board members, and Superintendent Russell. I'd like to speak briefly of the importance of e-learning. And what I'm really here today is to say thank you to the board and Superintendent Russell for having e-learning happen for our district schools on behalf of all of our schools. Here's why I want to thank you. I'm mentoring Tanner Contney, who is sitting to my left, and Tanner needed 9 credits to graduate at the semester, so around the holiday time. Tanner's from Wisconsin. I get to meet with Tanner every Wednesday, so that's a highlight for me. To meet with this young man. He's from Wisconsin. He's a hockey player, wants to play hockey at the college or pro level. My week is made when I see Tanner on Wednesdays. As you heard, he had needed 9 credits at the semester. He currently needs 3 credits and a concordant ACT score to graduate. So he has made just tremendous progress. If you were to tell students that you could earn 9 credits in a semester, Most would not believe it, but the reason he's able to do it, he has attended every day since he's been at e-learning. He stays overtime every day at e-learning too. So I commend his dedication, and I commend you for creating this opportunity for all of our students. It takes a teacher for this to happen. I'm very fortunate to work with Debbie Calloway. She taught 3 years in the lab at Atlantic High School, so she's part of the Atlantic High School family. She will be moving onto our campus next year when e-learning becomes a program at each of the high schools, and she will be our Shark Life e-learning teacher. She cares and tries, and the word that I hear her use often is respect. When Tanner went over there, she expected respect from him, and she's earned his respect. So at this point, it's my pleasure to introduce our teacher, Debbie Calloway.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm so happy to be here and just tell you about my passion. It's e-learning. The goal of e-learning is to personalize the learning path of each student through flexible scheduling. Actually, e-learning began in 1992. It was called Storefront, literally because it was part of a strip mall. And so they gave it that name. In 1993, they had 16 graduates. And the following year, they had 24. To date, out of e-learning, my e-learning, we've had 1,216 graduates. That's an average of 53 a year. It's kind of astounding to me. Students attend 5 hours a day with me, so I would say that we really have relationships very quickly, not only with my students, but with my parents as well. Every student comes to me with a unique set of circumstances, and I meet them wherever they are. Some of them come for credit retrieval, and some of them are in an accelerated model. But it doesn't matter because we customize a graduation plan for them, and we suit their needs. I couldn't be prouder of my students. Every year we put up a tree, a Christmas tree. It's the angel tree. And my students fight for those angels. And this year we gave 35 gifts to students, or to children that wouldn't have a Christmas otherwise. But they not only give of their time, they buy them, they put them under the tree, they go to Salvation Army, they wrap them, and they distribute them. That is giving the spirit of Christmas, not only to my students, but to the community as well. Last year we had a set of twins. They were homeless. Literally, they had no parents. The parents left them with nothing. We took them into e-learning and we found them housing and transportation. One graduated last year with over a 3.0. The other one will graduate this year and already has a 4-year full ride. It's really, really amazing. Stories could go on and on. But one student that I had, she sent me a text this morning and she asked me to read it to you. She's a past graduate in 2014. When I heard about e-learning, I thought it was too good to be true. After spending 2 years sick in bed, and she was dying, I thought there would be no chance for me to have a high school diploma. I accepted the fact that I would just get a GED. E-learning was a dream come true. They worked around my work schedule with amazing teachers and staff and supported me every step of the way. E-learning gave my mom the opportunity to watch me graduate before she passed away. This was something that she really dreamed about. To prove that the program works, last year I had 5 high schools, 103 graduates. This year I service 2 high schools and we've already had 40. Next year, I will just be at Atlantic High School, but it will be a seamless transition because I'm already a Shark. The impact on Volusia County Schools' graduation rate is substantial. E-learning, I think, finishes the work that Spruce or Atlantic starts. We make sure the students have all their credits, they have a 2.0 or better GPA, and all testing that they need is completed. They walk with that diploma. Thank you for allowing me this time to actually talk about my passion and something that I truly, truly believe in. Tanner Contney, he came to me in January, like Mr. Tager said. Right now, he only needs 3 credits to graduate. Gino Perez, who's sitting there, he was with me last year. He graduated, and he was only with me for 2 months, so he was accelerated model. Ben Roberts, who's sitting next to him, came to me in February, and in 6 months, he went from 15 credits to 24 credits. I can't tell you how proud I am of these kids.
Thank you for this opportunity to tell you how e-learning changed my life. Before e-learning, I was 9 credits short behind of graduating high school. I went to school 5 times a week and was still getting below average grades, with taking 3 makeup classes to catch up on my graduation time. Sitting in 7 different classrooms a day, I couldn't concentrate from all the peers around me. So when the teacher called my name and said, "What's the answer to a question?" when he or she knew I didn't know it, it is the most embarrassing thing for a student to have. I didn't know it. It is the most embarrassing thing. It's not just to learn from that. You're just gonna have another student fail from that. Instead of going to class, I started skipping because I was so embarrassed to go to class because I didn't know the answer. I didn't know anything. The teacher wouldn't help me. You know how it goes. Hearing Tanner walking throughout the high school saying, "You're not going to graduate this year. You're going to have to go take another classes all next year long. You're just not going to graduate." Then I really started to think, I'm not going to graduate. I joined the e-learning program approximately 1 month ago, needing 10.5 credits to graduate. I met one of the most positive people in my whole life, making lives better for kids every single day. Her 2 simple rules she told me joining the e-learning program were respect and graduate. Respect came from my parents that taught me throughout all the years of growing up. Graduating on a daily basis. With 103 graduates last year, and with 40 graduates and counting of this year, I've completed 6.5 of my 8.5 credits as of today, planning to graduate this Friday to begin my career as a pilot. I wanted to say thank you to these 2 remarkable people standing on my side right now for all they've done for me. Without Mr. Tager, I wouldn't have made it this far throughout high school. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to chase my dream as being a pilot. Thank you.
Thank you, Atlantic. Thank you. Good luck.
Team DeLand is up next.
Wait till they finish. It's almost like something's broken for students. Thank you. I don't want them to. They all said.
Thank you, Dr. Carr. We'd like to begin our time with you, these few minutes, by asking you to turn your attention to the monitors, the TV monitors. We have some music and a video lead-in that will last about 70 seconds. Then the music will fade, but the video will continue throughout our presentation. Throughout the video, you'll see snippets or narratives that describe the life situations that have brought our kids to us this year. Take a look.
They are inside us. You won't get past this one. You won't win your freedom. It's like a constant war, and you wanna settle that score. But you're bruised and beaten, and you feel defeated. This goes out to the heaviest heart. Oh, to everyone who's hit their limit. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. And even when you think you're finished, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Keep on fighting.
what was a little bit different in our video thus far is you see our kids simply have their mortarboards on. I believe very, very strongly in the sense that students who've been up against challenges and all kinds of obstacles have to have something to grasp on. And we practice that, don't we? We practice that in terms of envisioning your success, envisioning your destiny. So thank you for inviting us to be with you this evening. We're on our first year at DeLand High School. As I explained to our students last week, our goal to be with you this evening was twofold. One, to thank you for allowing this educational opportunity to come to our campus at DHS. And second, as you continue, please, to watch the video, to bring our lab to you. As you can see, our lab is turning into another example of a school within a school, one that's focused on academic standards required by the state in each course offering, all the while centered on the unique circumstances and learning needs of our students. What we want you to see are the many faces behind the life's challenges and choices that have brought our students to our lab to this point. But I really want you to understand and realize that these young ladies and these young men are going to be successful in life. And that is a perfect fit into you, our school board, and our philosophy. There are a couple themes or strong messages we share with our students. One you heard in the song. One is that you will be successful, so never give up, never give in. And your life may seem like it's falling apart, but it's really, truly falling into place. With me tonight in Team DeLand is, to my left, is Aaron Goldie, who's our tech specialist, put this program together. Caroline Algood is to my far right, and then our featured student, Mackenzie Hyatt. So my pleasure to introduce Caroline Algood.
Good afternoon. I am so thrilled and honored to be here to represent DeLand High School students. Our program is successful because of our administration. They're incredibly supportive. Mr. Moyer is with us. He's with us for the fight all the way to the end. They allow us to customize the program for each and every student. We're successful because our community supports us. We celebrate when our students achieve their goals. Our first celebration, Financial Dignity came in, fed us. We had a celebration. Marino's restaurant, they came in, they fed us. Our last celebration was with Johnny Rockets from DeLand Entertainment Center, the bowling alley. Our community is supporting us. They know the value of our students. But the biggest reason we're successful is because our students, they're dedicated and they're committed. They know they want to graduate. When we first started, beginning of the school year, we had a handful, maybe a half a dozen. Our classroom was half full. And then word started to get out. Kids started to come in. All of a sudden, Mr. Moyer and Mr. Davenport and I, we looked and we said, we need a bigger room. We need more computers. And guess what? We got a bigger room, as you can see, and we got more computers. They doubled the computers. And then, lo and behold, we got Mackenzie. She's my personal recruiter. So right now, we have over 60 students coming in and out of our doors every day, almost 70 students participating in this. As of right now, we have over 70 semesters have been completed. So this is working for us. The reasons that they're here, you've heard them. You name the background of these students, it's there. You name the family type, it's there. Anything, they've gone through it. But as you can see, our students have a very common goal, and that is to graduate. And most of them, many of them thought at the time, before the school year started, they thought they couldn't do it. Now they know they can, and they want to, and they're determined, as you could see through the video. I'm so tickled that Mackenzie Hyatt is here with us tonight. It's truly my pleasure to introduce Mackenzie.
Hello. I'm going to start off with saying how happy I am to be here today. When I was 5 years old, I was in a severe car accident that left me with brain damage. I struggled throughout school a lot. In the beginning of the year, I started out with 7 classes. I thought I could do it. I never asked my teachers for help. I just sat in a class thinking, I'm not going to graduate, and I'm going to accept the fact that I'm not going to graduate. Until I heard from friends about the e-learning program, I went to my guidance counselor, Miss Weiler, but she's not here. She's actually my IEP teacher. She actually helped me out a lot, and it's incredible how far I've come from the beginning of the year till now, knowing that I'm actually going to graduate, and it makes me really proud of myself that I can make my mom proud, and she's going to see me walk. And I never had so much encouragement from Mr. Moyer and Miss Allgood and the rest of the faculty at the school, and Mr. Moyer coming in every day, encouraging us to get the work done. And I never felt that before, going to school for the past 12 years of my life. And I'm just really happy that this program has come to my school. And thank you.
This actually concludes our presentation. Are there any questions that we may answer?
Can both groups come up, please? And even the two young men from Atlantic. Hands up and stand up and just say congratulations. And we want to take a picture, but I want my board members, if they would like to say something.
I'm just going to cry. Our young lady touched me, but Tanner, you also touched me. I love that I'm part of this, that you guys are willing to work so hard for something that in the beginning seemed impossible. You went past that. You didn't listen to all the voices in your head. I said I would say this one day publicly, but my guidance counselor, I did so terrible on an ACT, she told me to marry well. So I've joked about that throughout my life, but somewhere down deep I thought, I will show her. And I did. I did. And I understand when people say they have testing anxiety, I understand. But to be on a computer is phenomenal. To have that self-discipline, this will serve you the rest of your life. To be able to set up something, schedule it, and know that you did it, that you accomplished it, no matter what's said. You're amazing, and I am grateful for all of you, and I thank you for setting the standard.
Education primarily has to come from the heart, and obviously your hearts are quite full. From your teachers, your parents, your community, your schools, your administrators, and all the support you have and the programs that are being provided for your tech department, or curriculum department, and all of us here, we greatly congratulate you. And we all will get to meet you again. Hopefully we'll remember you at graduation, which is coming up in just a few short months. I want you to really seriously think about the name commencement. That word is another synonymous term for graduation. You are graduating from a curriculum set by the state of Florida that you must meet. But it also means commencement. In other words, you are beginning a journey for the rest of your life. And our job, primarily our job is to provide you with that springboard so that you can do whatever you choose to do with your life. And that's mess it up as long as you get back up and succeed. And a lot of you have already messed up. It's okay, because that gives you the strength to be even better. And we always learn most from our mistakes. I can attest to that. I've made plenty. But congratulations to all of you.
Yeah, I certainly want to say congratulations. It's inspiring to see the teachers who are so committed to student success. And you don't have to say a word. I can just get that feeling from your demeanors. So, and seeing the students reflect that in their demeanors as well, too. So I'm very proud of the success you're having. when you were speaking and you were emotional, I looked at the two young men who were sitting in the front row who they knew exactly how you felt. And that speaks to the commitment of what this program is capable of doing for students who need that for success. And I want to say that, Tanner, when I'm riding on an airplane with you, if you'll make sure that I keep my seatbelt on, and I will not smoke in the lavatory, so congratulations.
Again, thank you. And can we take a picture with the students and then everyone? So can I have the 5 students that we have? Thank you. Moving to item 4.01, public participation. When your name is called, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you. We first have Mr. Bill Daniels, followed by Mr. Stanley Escudera.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Board members? I am very sorry that I have to be here to take up your time.
Just a moment, Mr. Daniels. Can you state your name and address for us, please?
I'm sorry.
Thank
My name
you.
is Bill Daniels. My address is 5459 West Bayshore Drive, Port Orange, 32127. I'm very sorry that I have to waste your time. I really am. My daughter is being discriminated against by her principal and her guidance counselor at her school. And I'm sorry?
Pull that a little closer to you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
My daughter's being discriminated against by her principal and her guidance counselor at her school. I have done everything in my power to try and alleviate the situation, make it better, and make it a win-win for both of us. And ultimately, I'm being denied every inch. The principal's adopted a policy at our school that you have a copy of. On the first page of the paperwork I give you, see what I've highlighted is what we as parents see when our children are asked to go on a field trip. My daughter was denied the ability to go on her senior trip because she made a D on her very first report card. And every inch of the way they've held to that, and they've told her, no, you can't go. So at my wit's end, I asked for a copy of the policy that they were using against her, and that's the second page. And if you'll see that they're in the printed version they gave us, there's 2 clauses. There has to be 2 things that are met in order to disqualify her from going, and in that case, she doesn't meet them. Now, when I asked the principal about that, they told me it was a misprint. They told me that it shouldn't read and, that it should read or, okay? And if that's the case, that means that they've adopted a policy that basically blacklists students for their life. Once they get a D on their report card, they're on the blacklist. There's no recovery, there's no exit clause. Even if they bring that D up to an A. For example, let's say little Joe gets a D on his first report card, brings it up to an A. As a matter of fact, gets straight A's, has the highest GPA in the state, but still can't go on the senior trip because he got a D. And that's the policy that they enforce at my daughter's school. I don't think it's fair, and especially in her case, when she got those Ds, she was undergoing treatment at Nemours Hospital in South Orlando. She's still undergoing treatment there to this day. You'll see on the third page my plea to them. And basically, I was just asking they should take these type of things into consideration. We knew her grades would go down, and they did. Did she bring them up? Yeah. Are they still up? Yes. Has she ever failed anything? No. Has she been held back? No. Any disciplinary action? No. Any referrals? No. As a matter of fact, she was handpicked as a web ambassador for her 8th grade school this year. Yet she still can't go on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for her 8th grade class with her 8th grade class because of the fact that they've adopted this policy that is, in my opinion, 100% discriminatory and actually causes segregation within the student body. You're segregating your kids between good kids, bad kids, plain and simple. I thought we were done with that back in the 60s, in all honesty. That's my plea. Thank you for your time, and I am honestly very sorry to even have to bother you with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stan Escudero, followed by Mrs. Farouk Husseini.
Thank you, Madam Chair, distinguished members of the school board, and Superintendent Russell. My name is Stan Escudero. I live at 3034 South Peninsula in Daytona Beach Shores. And I'm here to speak to you today on the subject of the transformation of the Hearst School into Hope Place. It's no secret, of course, to this board that Volusia County has and has had for decades an extraordinary homeless problem. It's getting larger. A number of efforts have been made to address it, either in whole or in part. Some have worked better than others, but what you have before you today is an extraordinary example of what will work. It's 4 years in the making, led by Mrs. Farouja Hosseini and her charity, that is Food Brings Hope. But with the participation of the Halifax Urban Ministries and a number of other community service groups, and with the intimate participation of the County Council in the person of its county manager, Mr. Jim Deneen, who's here today and who was present at all of their planning sessions. All the I's have been dotted in this program. All the T's have been crossed. It is not an effort to address the vast inchoate mass of various categories of homeless in our county. It is meant to address those who are most vulnerable among the homeless, the children, the women who accompanied children, or in some cases, families. And it will provide not just housing and food, it will also provide medical care, it will provide opportunities for training and education, not just for the children, but also for their parents, whether they're single parents or whether both parents are with them, to give them the hand up, which other programs in other parts of the country similar to this have demonstrated that they will respond to. And in the end, this program will produce contributive, productive members of our own community who can reach out and help others on their own. As I said at the beginning, this program will work. In the governor's terms, it will deliver quantifiable returns on the investment we make. In broader terms, it will deliver demonstrable returns on the moral investment that we will make. You have before you today, in the wake of the council's decision to provide funding, seed capital, and the knowledge, of course, that I believe all of you have, that this is sustainable as a result of contributions from others, and various forms of in-kind participation from others. You have before you the opportunity to take the final step to get this deserving program on the road to the success that it will undoubtedly achieve, to the credit of yourselves, to the credit of our county. And I urge you in the strongest possible terms to vote in favor of the steps needed to accept the county's offer to go ahead and begin this transformational, resurrectional project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Farouk Husseini, followed by Mr. Jason Myers.
Thank you. And good afternoon. My name is Farouk Husseini, 1004 Hampstead Lane in Ormond Beach, 32174. Chairwoman Wright, Vice Chairwoman Johnson, Dr. Hill, and Mrs. Cuthbert, and Mr. Russell. Mr. Sims, hello. Good afternoon. Thank you very, very much for taking your time to listen to our proposal today, and thank you so much for agreeing for the Hearst Elementary to be on the agenda today. Our intent is to turn Hearst into a living campus named Hope Place, designed specially for children and their families who are homeless. Hope Place will have emergency as well as short-term housing. It is designed for children and families who are seeking help and guidance to help themselves climb out of poverty, despair, and homelessness. As you know, 19.5% of our children in this community live in poverty. The Hope Place campus is going to be set up with partners, programs, agencies, and counselors who can help the homeless become self-reliant. It is designed for families who are looking for a break so they can put their lives back together, ensuring their children have as normal a life as possible, aiding them to stay and finish school. Stability is the best gift any parent can give to their children. And Hope Place is designed for families who want to provide a stable environment for their children. Hope Place will give these families a hand up, not a hand out. The Hope Place Committee has already reached out to different agencies, Daytona State College, Embry-Riddle, United Way and their agencies, Kids Are First, Catholic Charities, among several others, to invite them to offer their programs at Hope Place so that they can help the residents on site. The Hope Place Committee has also reached out to the business leaders and will continue to reach out to other leaders in our community to seek their guidance, request input, and ask them to consider how they and their businesses can possibly help with the Hope Place. And I have many of the business leaders today here. If you can all stand up who are here in support of this project. We thought it's more efficient if they stand up instead of every single one of us taking 4 minutes of your time. Hope Place will keep our most volatile students, the homeless students, stay in school and hopefully attain a high school diploma. This in turn will help Volusia County School District. Right now, we are at 72%, I believe, graduation rate, lower than state average of 78%, which is lower than national average of 81%. You just heard from the school online learning that they had twin homeless kids who actually were helped by the school for them to be able to attain their high school diploma. Hope Place is designed for that. That counselor can actually send the kids to Hope Place, where actually we also would have 32 beds for unaccompanied youth. Currently, and I'm preaching to the choir, you have close to 200 unaccompanied youth attending Volusia County schools. I also believe students residing at Hope Place will do better on their end of the year exams and the Florida Sunshine Standards tests, which in turn will help our district earn a better grade. As I said, 32 beds for unaccompanied youth, that's just hopefully would be enough to get those kids graduated and move on and then be productive members of our citizens. Am I done? I can go on. Hope Place will change the lives of our children, your students, their families, and it will lift the entire Hearst community. It will lower the population of our jails, where it takes 15 times more to house an inmate, a juvenile, than to aid them at Hope Place. Each year, we bury 5,000 students, but we're done. 5,000 students in unmarked graves. I don't want any of those students to be our kids from our community. Through Hope Place, we'll be taking better care of our children, again, many of whom are your students and their families, in a dignified and humane way, but also saving taxpayers millions of dollars. I had a few more things to say, basically thanking Mr. Russell for taking his time to attend so many meetings, and this really is a community effort. This is not the school board selling your property to an NGO. This is the entire community coming together to make something work for our homeless children and their families. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Mr. Jason Myers, followed by Mr. Mark Gialis. Gialis. Thank you. Either one, just state your name. You have 4 minutes.
Well, good evening. My name is Jason Meyer, 1410 LPGA Boulevard, Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm the CEO of Synergy Billing. We have just over 100 employees, and we are in the neighboring community of the Hearst property. And I'm here this evening to speak in favor of this amazing project. This addresses a very critical need in our community. And much like the Hearst property is being converted from a school into a project that addresses such a need that impacts all of us, we're hopeful to move a little bit further east on LPGA Boulevard into the community of Holly Hill. We'll be right there side by side with Hope Place. Now, recently, Synergy Billing announced a program that is going to provide key training to the long-term unemployed and underemployed in our community in partnership with CareerSource of Volusia Flagler County. This is a 12-week program that provides some core job skills to teach the trade of medical billing and coding. And we're excited about the prospects of working in conjunction with Halifax Urban Ministries and Hope Springs Place to help these folks that are transitioning, to teach them these core job skills. Now, in the coming years, our company anticipates hiring several hundred more people, and we're in the process of developing a campus to facilitate that growth. And we think that many of these people we can teach these core job skills to, and we can put them back to work. So I'm very excited about this project. I'm excited about it being in our community, and I urge you to approve the sale of the property for its intended use. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Gialis, followed by Ms. Sandy Bishop.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Russell, esteemed board. My name is Mark Gallis, and I am the Executive Director of Halifax Urban Ministries. I live at 2273 Robin Hood Trail in South Daytona, but the first home I ever owned was about 2 blocks from Hearst Elementary. All my children went there for their grade school, and I know the neighborhood well, and 4 years ago, Pastor Troy, our former executive director, was sharing his vision of a better place for families and children to recover from homelessness than what we were able to provide on North Street. And I told him I often drove by there and it was vacant. And that began the vision that after 4 years is coming to fruition, hopefully today, with your positive vote to transfer this to the county so that this project can really begin. Can't wait for it to go from vision to reality. My esteemed colleagues that have been helping us bring it this far have shared a lot of what I was going to say, but I just want to let you know that our organization looks to all the homeless in the community, and the families with children are the ones that we care the most about. When we were able to add the opportunity in the wing for the unaccompanied youth, things really began to change in this project. We no longer look at it as shelter at all, but as a new opportunity for these families and for these children and for these students. We, as community partners, began to come on board. It just gets more exciting by the day. Yesterday I was out there. The County Agriculture Department is going to teach people how to do agriculture. They're going to put in a community garden. There's going to be parks and recreation programs run out of there, a library center. The counseling center from Catholic Charities is beginning to shape up. And what we are going to do is to get families into homes. That is the end goal. That's why we don't even look at this as shelter at all. It is an emergency housing opportunity where we can begin to stabilize families, where we can let the students stay as they progress through life, and we can get people into housing, get them back to being fully productive citizens in our community. Most of these families are there not because of what you usually envision, the homeless. In fact, families are the fastest growing segment of the homeless population. These families are usually there because of economic issues that crept into their life, because of medical problems, and those are things that we can quickly turn around. So I just come to you today and I ask you to vote to let this project begin in earnest and to let Hope Place take what was an old building that was probably envisioned by Mr. Hurst to take care and serve children, to once again live again, to help families, children, and students in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sandy Bishop, followed by Mrs. Kiara Corsi.
Hi there. I'm Sandy Bishop. I live at 144 Wingfoot Circle in Daytona Beach, and I'm very honored to be the executive director of the Volusia Building Industry Association. I just wanted you to look at the improvement this could make in the neighborhood. Yes, I'm your capitalist here. I think it's an opportunity to renovate, rejuvenate, and reinvent the whole neighborhood around Hearst. Within a 5-block radius of the school, 2 months ago, there were 55 homes in foreclosure or in pre-foreclosure. I checked yesterday, it's higher. The county's going to be working on programs to renovate some of those homes so that the people that can come into Hearst in the rapid rehousing could eventually become homeowners. We could also be looking at home ownership for young teachers, for young families, and all of that is part of reinventing a neighborhood. I run the Parade Homes. The lowest price house in the Parade Homes is around $200,000. That's not real reachable for most young families. This is an area that bringing them back in and getting it going with a rejuvenation program would be helpful for the economy of the area, let alone the neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Kiara Corsi, followed by Mrs. Crystal Brown.
Hi, I'm Kiara Corsi, 1350 Glenwood Road, DeLand, Florida. Good afternoon, Volusia County School Board members. My name is Kiara Corsi. I'm a 3rd grade student at Citrus Grove Elementary. Just a few weeks ago, I was learning about making and using surveys to determine outcomes, such as my classmates' favorite color. Even though this is an important question among 3rd graders, I decided a greater question needed surveying. I've been hearing about school uniforms being implemented next year. Therefore, I decided to survey all of Citrus Grove 3rd grade classes to see if they were for or against uniforms in public schools. As I have my mom pass out my evidence for you to look at from my survey, I would like to share with you my 3 main reasons why we should not wear school uniforms in a public setting. If you flip the next page, you'll see my evidence, and anybody in the audience, if they would like my survey, please raise your hand. One reason why we should not wear school uniforms in a public school setting is it would be taking away our freedom to express ourselves creatively. It would also make it seem like a private school, and many students would not want to go to a private school, including myself. And number 3, a lot of people don't have enough money to buy the uniforms, and certain stores don't carry school uniforms, and that would hurt many people who depend on a good bargain. Now let's see the results from our survey. There are a total of 141 third grade students. 102 students are against or opposed to school uniforms. 23 are for or in favor of school uniforms. 16 abstain or choose not to vote they don't care if they wear school uniforms or not. Therefore, 72% of students, which equals 102 students, wishing not to wear uniforms in public schools. This is a large percent of third grade students that wish not to wear school uniforms. Wouldn't you agree? I know I'm not aged to vote, but I would appreciate it if you considered my opinion along with my classmates. Thank you for your time and attention to our concerns. Kira Corsi, third grade student, future President of the United States.
Miss Corsi, I'm going to take a point of privilege. Come back up front, please.
Is Mr. Moyer still here?
Go. I personally want to say thank you. I'm probably the one who pushed the uniforms the most, but I want to say thank you for taking the time, talking to your students, to your classmates. We hear your opinion, we really do. And we want you to keep up the good work because I would love to see you become the President of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Crystal Brown, followed by Mrs. Amani Brown.
Hello, my name is Crystal Brown. Thank you for the opportunity to take 4 minutes of your time tonight to discuss a situation.
Ms. Brown, can you give me your address, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. 603 Ambrose Street, DeLand, Florida. I'm here to discuss a situation that's been going on with my daughter. Pretty much the situation has really been going on since she's been in the 8th grade. She's now in the 11th grade. There was a traumatic incident that happened in her 8th grade year where her father was killed here in DeLand, Marlon Brown. But we're not here today to ask for sympathy on that. What I'm asking for is for her safety within the school system. There's something that we say about kids can be very cruel. And I want to take that a little bit further and say that kids, parents, and adults can be very cruel as well. My children have endured a lot since her 8th grade year. But just recently, this year, it just has escalated to the point where we can't take anymore. Here at the high school here in DeLand, Florida, I believe we're probably at the point where my child has been harassed, bullied, has been in fights. Probably now, we're probably up to our 4th charge going before the judge, defending herself. And I'm not going to sit before you and portray to you that I have a perfect child. She's just like everybody else's child. Sometimes we get caught up and we get on the social medias and we do things that don't make the situation as best as it could be. However, I do know that you have policies and procedures that are in place that should protect my child. This recent altercation that happened, she's sitting in the right place at the right time. A and B contracts are in place. There's orders from the judge that they are not to have contact. Not only do we have one student that is harassing and bullying my child, now we gang up and we try to find people that will also come in with you. And they enter into her classroom as she's sitting in her class and they jump on her. And immediately I have student administration, I have the student resource officer who For some strange reason, I mean, I could put my own thoughts to why it is the way it is, but they want to make her still, instead of the victim, now she's the aggressor. She's in the right place at the right time. We have a recording from the teacher immediately after it happened that recounts what happened that day, and still I get a call from the principal saying, well, you know, Molly this, and well, you know, Molly that. We have students that were out of place. The bell had rung. They had no business in the classroom. Again, we have an A and B contract where they're not supposed to be near each other. They come to her class. So we've spent a lot of time, a lot of manpower trying to find that small inclination where we can say Armani Brown was wrong yet again. And I'm saying today, enough is enough. I've spoken to Mr. Moyer. I went to school this morning to withdraw her because it's that bad. Mr. Moyer, and I love Mr. Moyer, and I'm really not saying anything bad about him, but he meets me in the parking lot with a form to withdraw my child in the parking lot. Never escorts me to his office, nothing. I told her, I said, I felt like I just did a drug deal, taking my child out of the public school system. And despite what she's been through, when we get home, she looks at me and she says, but Mommy, I still want to graduate green and gold. That hurt me to my heart. I feel like I failed my child. I know that the school system has failed my child. And we need to look into the policies and procedures, who's in charge, whether it's the dean who has the hierarchy of the chain of command, or is it the officers? I was threatened when I was there. She actually looked at me, got in her stance, put her hands on her waist belt, and because I told her that I was in fear and threatened to take me to jail, I have been trespassed off of the school. There's a problem. And I don't sit here today just for my child. I sit here for all the children. Because if I'm going to be treated that way by resource officers, and I'm an adult, I'm a parent, how are our children being treated? We need to ensure that who needs to be in control of our schools is in control of our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, can I say something?
Are you Miss Armani Brown?
Oh, yes.
Okay, state your name and your address, and yes, you have 4 minutes.
Armani Brown, 603 Ambrose Street. While this whole situation happened, I wasn't able to talk to no law enforcement. I wasn't able to talk to any deans or anything that was like in charge, like at all. I had to go to the hospital because I had head injuries and everything, and I wasn't like helped at all. Like all they asked me to do was write a statement, and on the report, they have it's one-sided, it's just their side versus mine. And after the whole situation happened, the deputy came in my class and just was yelling at me like I was the one that attacked me. I was attacked. I'm sorry. And I'm being treated as though the aggressor when I was really the victim. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Mrs. Yvonne Walker, followed by Mr. Andrew Spar.
Yvonne Walker, 1 Indian Trail, Ormond Beach, Florida, 32174. Chairman Wright and esteemed Mr. Russell and board, thank you for hearing me this evening. I'm wearing black because I am in mourning for teachers. I have before me a 17-page document that was very nicely given to me. I asked for a report of public record search of non-negotiated salaries, and they were very graciously given to me. I have looked at it. I'm not a math major. However, I did find in that report 15 salaries over $100,000 a year. I found salaries of people who are not certified and are working in administrative positions, secretarial positions or systems analysts and that sort of thing, that are still making more than teachers. I've listened to teachers want to quit, and I myself wanted to quit. And if you remember, I came and quoted Dr. Seuss one time this year. I'm not going to quit. I won't throw in the towel because I still make a difference every day. And our teachers are making a difference every day. I have a little boy who lost his father this past week. That's the 6th time that has happened in my classroom. I have been at funerals, I have been at weddings, I have been at graduations. I have been a committed teacher. I can't afford to leave because I am making a difference. But if teachers continue to be treated and told they're not worth an increase in salary that is at least in line with this 17-page document, they're going to leave. Volusia County has a black eye. We're called Volusia County, Volusia. That saddens me greatly. This county has served my 3 sons who graduated. I have worked for 25 years. Thank you for the pen. Thank you for the pen. And I know at 25, I'm up at the higher end, probably. Not the highest, and I certainly don't have any of this, not even half of what some of these salaries are. I understand people have great responsibilities, but I think there is no greater responsibility or impact that anyone has than a classroom teacher. Do the math, times 25 or 30 years. Do the math. I sat with that little boy Monday morning. My principal, Mrs. Fisher, brought him in, and he had eyes so red he couldn't stand it. And I went over and I said, "Did you have breakfast?" He said, "No." I went into my closet, I had breakfast for him, and I provided it. And I said, "Talk to me." And he said, "My daddy died. I saw it happen." Let me tell you what, takes a lot not to cry. And I said, "You know what? We can talk about it." And he came to the class. This child has also got some learning disabilities, and he said to the class, "This is a private conversation with Mrs. Walker and I." Fortunately, he was able to share with another child that day who was mature enough to handle it. We are worth a whole lot more than you're offering. I'm very sad. I am very, very sad for our teachers that are leaving and for new teachers coming in, because I don't think they're going to come to our county. I think they're going to go to surrounding counties. I appreciate your time. I appreciate that we have people working for us, but please do your very best. That saying that says, "Good, better, best, never let it rest until your good is better and your better is the best." We deserve the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Andrew Spar, followed by Mrs. Erin Gorskowski.
And good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Superintendent Russell, and members of the audience. Andrew Spar, 1 Marianne Terrace, Ormond Beach, Florida, 32174, president of the Volusia Teachers Organization. You know, this child that was up here a little while ago, and what we just heard actually from Ms. Walker, that's why teachers and support staff work in Volusia County schools. I want to also acknowledge the work that's going on with Hope Place. I think that's a great project and a great investment in our community. And I also want to recognize Mrs. Presley and the naming of the Media Center at Campbell Middle School. She has truly been a great contributor to public education in Volusia County. So I want to talk about teachers and support staff in Volusia County and the sacrifices they make and have made day in and day out for years in Volusia County schools, because sometimes I think we forget. For 3 of the last 7 years, teachers actually agreed to no pay raises, no increase in pay, none whatsoever, because they care about Volusia County schools and understood the financial struggle of our district. Teachers in Volusia County schools have had plan design changes for their insurance, paying more out of pocket as a way to keep insurance costs down. And I'll point out that this year there was a 0 increase in premiums on the Florida healthcare plans in Volusia County, with no plan design changes, no increase in cost to the district, no increase in cost to the employees. Next year, we're looking at a savings, if nothing is done, based on plan design recommendations of $2.5 million. These are sacrifices and steps that the employees in this district have taken. They've also become better users and consumers of the plan. It's been pointed out in data that the district has provided that show that our employees do not misuse the insurance plan. They use it in a way to ensure that costs remain low and that they get the care they deserve. People don't go into public education to make money, but they also don't go into it to live in poverty. They make sacrifices every day. They take money out of their pockets, as we just heard, on a daily basis to make sure that our kids have. They're told constantly, as one teacher told me today, that no, you can't have a new printer at this point in time, or no, I'm sorry, there's not enough money to make any more copies, even though the curriculum is saying copy stuff all of the time. I want to talk about the impasse process for a moment, because we are at impasse. And what does that mean? It means that the fighting continues, that we don't have a resolution, that even after a contract is imposed, we go right back to the table and start all again, and the fighting will continue, and it will continue and continue and continue, because the people in this district, the teachers, the staff, and the employees in this district care too much to let it go. And when we have a school board that votes with very little debate on a $300,000 no-bid contract to provide a consultant to find, not design, not purchase, but find a computer program, that should be an embarrassment to this district. I also want to point out that the superintendent, the school board, the administrator in charge of finance, in charge of transportation, in charge of career and technical education, in charge of student services, in charge of federal programs, and that all of the average salary of our high school principals are all above the state average. Our area superintendents are the only upper management below the state average. Our teachers, our support staff, whether it be our bus drivers, our cafeteria workers, our paraprofessionals, our clerical staff, are all below the state average. Something's wrong when the highest paid people in this district are above the state average and the lowest paid people in this district are below the state average. And what we hear is that we don't care. We talk about respecting the employees. Actions speak louder than words. This is what it's about.
Thank you, Mrs. Aaron Kraskowski, and followed by Mrs. Marta Pascal.
Aaron Goncharowski, 810 West River Oak Drive, Ormond Beach, Florida, 32174. Good evening. At the last board meeting, it was suggested that some of us seek medical help. While there were people who were offended by this comment, I took it as an opportunity to do so. Before you is a list of the Volusia County kindergarten curriculum versus the normal development of a 5-year-old child recommended by pediatricians. As you can see, we are demanding way too much of our kindergartners and have far overstepped the recommended milestones. Please be aware of the footnote on the pediatrician side. I think it is something that needs to be remembered in our curriculum. In our email exchanges, a few of you who chose to reply told me testing was reduced last year, and it's being looked into to reduce it more this year. I hope this is true, but must ask why the giant leap from 20 sight words to 80 sight words for kindergartners. It seems to me the amount would have been reduced as well, or at least stayed the same. I have a child who comes home just as tired and frustrated as my husband does after a long day of work. I see a child who is beginning to already not like school and not wanting to go, and the majority of this board's solution to fixing this is for me to wake up on the first day of school next year and say, sorry, you can't be Superman today. Now do you want the white shirt or the gray shirt? Recently in Duval County, the debate over uniforms came up. A survey was taken and results came out similar to ours, about 50-50. Duval County said it's not worth the fight. Let's fix some of these other issues and we can come back to this at a later date if need be. That's what is so frustrating. It's not your political party choice, your religion, or your favorite restaurant. It's that this discussion carries on when there are a lack of supplies, a lack of teachers, filthy schools, and so on. I went to a Theory Moms meeting, and honestly, I went with the feeling of, I don't know what good this will do. It will just be a bunch of people venting their frustrations. But there were no torches or pitchforks. It was a group of people who now have a better understanding of the difficult job you have before you. And it is a difficult job. So please, let us help you. That's why we're here. We are not a group of teenagers trying to pull one over on our parents. We want to help, but we need to be heard. The uniform discussion needs to be put on pause for now. We have more important issues to look at. Most importantly, giving the classroom back to the teacher. They are more than proctors and have the creativity and drive to be more influential than you give them credit for. Let's end the ridiculous amounts of testing, end the pointless debates, and get back to making our schools great. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Mara Pascal, followed by Mrs. Joanna Caney Oliveri.
Good evening, Chairman Wright, school board members, and Superintendent Russell. My name is Marta Pascal, and I reside at 6314 Palma Space Circle, Port Orange, Florida. I serve as the Executive Director of the Volusia Association of School Administrators. During recent school board meetings, I've heard the question asked, does the principal decide? Regardless of the topic, I would respectfully suggest that yes, the principal decides. But before I elaborate on that topic, let me ask this question. Does the teacher decide? Before we can answer that question, we need more information. Who's impacted? If the question has to do with pencil sharpening procedures or restroom requests or how and when to line up for lunch, then yes, the teacher decides. But if the question impacts school-wide or beyond, or has to do with anything out of the norm, the teacher should not decide without administrative approval and guidance. Why? Not because administrators wish to stifle creativity or initiative, but because administrators are responsible for assuring the safety and well-being of all students while assuring that academic endeavors support the curriculum and that school board policies and procedures are being met. Let me share with you a real scenario, and anyone who knows me knows I never have to make it up. When I was an elementary principal years ago, someone mentioned to me during the school day that a class of fifth graders were making plaster masks of their faces. I, as principal, was unaware of the activity. To be honest, I shuddered and immediately thought about petroleum jelly. Why? I had just watched an episode of Rescue 911. Remember that show? During which a young woman convinced her pregnant sister to allow her to make a plaster cast of her swollen tummy. The problem? They had neglected to apply petroleum jelly to the pregnant girl's belly, and the plaster began to burn her skin. And in the absence of petroleum jelly, the plaster could not be easily or quickly removed. The rescue workers had to literally chisel away at the plaster on the pregnant woman's belly. In the case of the students' plaster masks, yes, the teacher had remembered to use petroleum jelly. Thank goodness. However, she had not asked for administrative permission or guidance to conduct this unique activity, nor had she secured parental permission, nor had she considered allergies, nor did the activity support her fifth grade curriculum. I clarified these issues to the teacher, stressing that I did not wish to stifle her creativity or her initiative, but that any lesson so out of the norm had to be considered from many perspectives. A more recent example of the principal deciding is a science all-nighter at a middle school. A teacher came forward with a very unique and intriguing idea. However, many questions needed to be considered before that creative and, yes, successful idea could come to fruition. It is important to include stakeholders when making decisions whenever possible. When stakeholders have buy-in, the committee, the project, the action plan, the workshop, the decision will likely be better supported and/or received. However, administrators, specifically principals, are responsible for all that impacts students and staff on their campuses. At times, the principal must decide because of time constraints or because the principal is cognizant of issues that may not be common knowledge. Ultimately, administrators must be allowed to do the job that you appointed them and entrusted them to do. Thank you for your time and for your service to the community.
Thank you. Mrs. Joanna Caney Oliveri, followed by Mrs. Kim Short.
Hi, Joanna Caney-Oliveri, 22 Minnow Drive, Ormond Beach, Florida. I wanted to give you a little update on what the three moms are up to. We had a very productive meeting with Mr. Aiken, met several hours and discussed where we can go in the future with our meetings, and we're looking forward to having another round of 3 meetings with his district people there to focus on technology, transportation, safety, and custodians. And we are excited about informing and educating our parents on what you guys do so they can have a better understanding, because that's really what we want to do, is be that middle ground to where we can clear up some things that people think, misconceptions, and some things that are reality. We had a very nice meeting with Mrs. Wright. We appreciate the time you gave us. We are looking forward to meeting with Dr. Hill in the near future, and we've reached out to Melanie Johnson and Mr. Russell to hopefully meet again with Mr. Russell and for a first time with Mrs. Johnson. We just really want to work together with the school district. Our main focus is the students and the teachers, and that is our priority and what is the best thing for them, and we don't want to lose sight of that. So we are not the team you're playing against, and we're not the enemy. We're here to help as best as we can. I just wanted to briefly touch on the comments made at the last board meeting. I know, I'm fully aware, that I sometimes get very heated when I speak, and that might come across as something other than what is the intention of my message. Ted Doran said to me, you know, sometimes, Joanna, your message gets lost in the delivery. I'm sure Mr. Doran has had his message get lost in the delivery in the courtroom before. I have a lot of attorneys in my family. I know how they speak. But when I speak to you, I'm not here to be hateful. I'm not here to be mean. I'm here because my number one priority, my life, are my children and what is best for them. So I'm not going to be able to get over anything. I need to keep working on this until I feel like we are on the track that best serves all of our students. And right now I'm a little afraid of the track that we're on. And I'm sorry, I don't want to come across as the aggressor. I just want you to understand I'm genuinely a concerned parent who loves her children very, very much. So I'm Mama Bear, and I don't mean anything personally, but I will never be able to get over this. I can't. The former board has had us speak to them time and time again, and we left it on a very nice note. I don't think that there was any hostility between us. It just bothers me that anyone would think that my intentions were anything other than for the betterment of my children's education and the teachers that teach them, because those two groups of people mean the most to me right now, because I've got a first grader, a third grader, and a fifth grader, and my teachers are my family, and I look out for them. There was something else I was going to say, and I don't remember what now. Imagine that, I don't know what to say. Anyways, I hope that we can work together as a group for the betterment of our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kim Short, followed by Mrs. Julia Harris.
Kim Short, 6089 Spruce Point Circle, Port Orange, Florida. I want to discuss, I just want to kind of tag in on everybody with the Hearst property. I've spoken to some people who are very involved with doing things with the homeless, and everybody is pretty much in the consensus that that is definitely something that we should be on board with. So I think I can speak for the three moms in that we are 100% endorsing of that. A little bit that you've already known, somebody who really inspired me would be a man who comes over from the Orange Park area, which is, from the Orlando area, which is Mr. Harris Rosen. And I've talked to you a little bit about the things that he's done. If you ever look at the Tangelo Park project, they've got some statistics on there about the U.S. Secretary of Education stating that if the country could get students who are not graduating from high school to earn their diplomas, the U.S. economy would save $250 billion a year. I think that if you look at what this project could really do to home values and to just about every single inch of our entire community, it could really help us. Having a mother who was hired by Judy Winch 11 years ago and works with the children at Westside, I can say that it would definitely help over there. The other thing that I've received some emails on, and actually not in an opinion that I kind of follow, would be on this no pass, no play policy. As you know, I went to a high school, St. Thomas Aquinas, which is probably the best football team, whatever, in the country. So I look at this, and I really just went to my husband, who doesn't really get too much involved with education issues. In his opinion, I care about education enough for the both of us. So I kind of went to him and I asked him what he thought. And, you know, when I really think about it, this thing where we make kids pass classes in order to continue to play a sport, I don't really understand it. Because the worst thing to me would be that if we ever deter a student from attempting to do something that could be a challenge. We need kids to want to look at academies, and even if they hear that the teacher's hard, want to take that class. Not worried that if they fail that class, they will have to give up playing their sport. I get some of the people that are sending me emails saying that this is some way of achieving academic excellence. Again, coming from a world that was very domineering in the athletic area for a high school, all the guys I went to school with had to get a 2.0, and their families and themselves and their teachers pushed them to take the hardest classes that they could. And they never felt afraid because they knew that they were going to do their best and that they had that, you know, that 2.0 to save them. I really think that that's where we should be at. I don't know what the point is about making kids not try to, you know, basically try their best at the things that are the hardest things out there for them. But I did want to kind of tag in on that because I'm sure you guys are going to be discussing that. You know, as far as the comments go at the last school board meeting, I really think I have much to say about it. I have no intentions to ever come after anybody personally, but I can promise you that if I think that your intentions are in any way going to be in a conflict of interest of what's in the children's best interest in this county, I will not be quiet. I will not go away. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Julia Harris, followed by Mr. Carl Persis.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dr. Julia Harris. I live at 9 Circle Oaks Trail in Ormond Beach. I have 3 daughters in public schools and a 4th who will enter the school system in 2017. I have some serious concerns regarding your statement of support in the proposed amendment to Student Appearance, Dress, and Uniform Code. Quote, the board further finds that uniforms promote an environment that enhances learning and safety, end quote. In medicine, we are taught to make decisions based on the best available evidence from properly conducted research. The same principles should be used when making a decision that will affect every student in Volusia County Public Schools. However, it is clear that the school board has not done their homework pertaining to the implementation of a school uniform policy. If they had, they would have immediately seen that the existing evidence does not support such a measure. After review of available research, PolitiFax Florida states, quote, there are some studies that say there are changes for the better and worse for both school violence and attendance statistics once uniforms are adopted, but there's hardly a consensus. Even if there is improvement, research suggests the positives are slight. Some experts think the actual impact on students is negligible or even negative, end quote. In 2009, the results of 2 studies commissioned by the National Center for Educational Statistics were published. The first study collected data over 6 years. The second followed 25,000 students over 12 years. I quote, the results are remarkably consistent across both sets of data and support one general conclusion. There is little evidence that uniforms improve achievement in schools, end quote. Closer to home, a review of the top 10 public school districts in Florida, ranked in order of academic achievement, show that none require a school uniform. A landmark study, which followed a national sample of students from 8th grade through college, showed that there was, quote, no relationship between wearing uniforms and reduced absenteeism, reduced drug use, nor improved behavior, end quotes. Further, even in absence of a uniform policy, high school graduation rates in Volusia County have increased over 9% in the past 5 years, the most of any Central Florida school district. As pertains to bullying, adoption of a uniform policy is not even mentioned as a plausible intervention on such prestigious websites as stopbullying.org, cdc.gov, or schoolcounselor.org. Among others, the National School Safety Center does not advocate school uniforms as a means of combating bullying. To quote Dr. David Brunsma, the leading researcher in the field of school uniforms, quote, "The school uniform movement continues to be rooted in pure speculation without any scientific evidence to support anecdotal arguments for its effectiveness," end quote. Beyond disregard of current national evidence, the school board has not heeded community concerns. The Department of Education states, quote, "If your school is considering implementing a uniform policy, the following should be considered and in place. Number one, involve parents and students from the beginning. Develop and distribute a survey to them to solicit their thoughts and opinions," end quote. Now, a survey was developed and made available online in the fall of 2015. There were over 21,500 responses. Results showed that 70% of students were against a uniform policy, as well as 47% of teachers and parents, including 59.8% of principals surveyed. This does not indicate strong support of a uniform policy from the key individuals who should be making this type of decision. Unfortunately, the school board decided not to use these results, calling the survey flawed. Another survey has not been developed, indicating that the school board intends to implement a uniform policy based solely on their own opinions. Your decision regarding a school uniform policy directly affects over 61,000 students and their families and will continue to influence these children for up to 13 years of their lives. It is too important a decision to make without consulting all available evidence, without direct input from parents, students, and school staff, and without clear objectives, measurements of outcomes, and plans for dealing with these outcomes. Until each and every one of these issues is addressed, you cannot, in good faith, force this policy on the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carl Persis.
Good evening, Madam Chairman. Thank you, and Superintendent Russell, members of the school board. It's nice to be with you. I too, my name is Carl Persis, and I live at 3 Tidewater Drive in Ormond Beach, Florida. I am also a candidate for the Volusia County School Board in District 4, and I was thinking I should get that little third grader to be my campaign manager, perhaps. I wouldn't have anything to worry about. She can do all the polling for me, but anyway, I want to also join the chorus tonight of support for the school board allowing the county to purchase the building. And Farouk Husseini, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for quite some time and was a charter member of Food Brings Hope. I know when Forever Fruit gets involved with anything, it's going to happen. You can count on it. And the business leaders who were so nice to be here this evening, they should be ready for Farouk to be contacting them to raise that $1 million that she is going to need for the endowment fund. Farouk will be calling you soon, I'm sure. I also want to give a lot of credit to the county council for agreeing to be a huge partner in this by coming up with $3.7 million. This is huge, and the county council was, all of them were there in favor of it. So County Manager Jim Deneen, thank you for that. Mark Gallus, of course, in charge of the Halifax Urban Ministries. They're going to run it. So it's just fantastic when everyone can get together to make something good happen, and I just applaud everyone who was involved with that. I also want to say that I am very much in favor of you naming the Campbell Middle School, the Vicki J. Presley Media Center. I think it's nice to name buildings after people who are alive. Jim Deneen knows what I'm talking about. We had a lot of conversations about naming things after dead people. But it's nice to have someone alive. I do wonder how Tyrone feels about this. Tyrone, they never named a building after you, but anyway, you're my man, Ty, and I'm with you all the way. And I also want to say, in regard to perhaps the most serious issue, I think, here, because I think you all are in favor of the Hearst site going, and that is the no pass, no play. Because this one really affects students who are here right now And I will tell you, as a person who's been a principal for a long, long time, children need a hook. A lot of children need a hook to attend school. Sometimes it's being in the band. Sometimes it's playing in the chorus. Sometimes it's they just love a teacher. Sometimes something to do with art. Whatever it is, but oftentimes it is for a lot of kids who perhaps aren't as successful in the academic world, it's sports. It's sports or it's some club. And they are somebody sometimes when they're on a team, and they're not somebody in the classroom when they're not doing very well. And so it just gives you a sense to want to come to school. And from where I sat as a principal, anything it took to get a child to come to school was better than that child sitting at home. So I really hope that you feel that way in your heart to adopt the standards that are those that are adopted around the state of Florida, so that these children can get to school and graduate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving to items 23.01.
We just had public input, so.
Yep.
So.
Because we moved up 23.01. We moved up 23.01.
Yes.
Right. 24.01. Okay, we're going to move 24.01. And just to give you a little, I'll turn it over to Superintendent.
Thank you. I did inform Madam Chair that there would be a school board member that would not be in attendance tonight. And there are two board action items, 2401 and 2402, that the chair would like to make a motion on, but at this time, if we would pass the gavel.
Mm-hmm.
Is it appropriate? Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone items 24.01, 23.01, and 24.02 to be continued at a special call meeting on Tuesday, March 29th, 2016 at 5:30 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
And in light of what the superintendent stated, I believe that all board members need to be here on both of these action items. And so I would just like to recommend that we have a special meeting just to address those two items only.
Yes, for the sake of transparency, it's a good idea.
Any other discussion?
Repeat the date again.
Tuesday, March 29th at 5:30 p.m.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign for opposed. Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dyer. Moving on to item 5.01, approval of resolution 2016-12, declaring property as a surplus. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, Ms. Sarah Lee Morrissey, Director of Planning, and Mr. Michael Dyer, General Counsel, will make the presentation.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. What I'd like to, I know you've heard a lot tonight already about the sale of the Hearst Elementary property. The first item for you to consider is Resolution 2016-12. That is the resolution where you actually declare the property surplus so that it does become available to put under contract. What I'd like to suggest is that you act on that item, and then assuming that you authorize approval of the resolution as we move forward, Mr. Dyer and I could go through the documents.
The superintendent recommends approval of Resolution 2016-12, declaring the Hearst property in Daytona Beach as surplus.
Madam Chair, Mr. Superintendent, I move that we approve Resolution 2016-12.
Second.
Motion has been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Item 5.02, agreement to purchase and sale of Hearst property.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Chairman, members of the board, we have before you a series of documents. The first and primary document, which sets the stage for the other documents, is the agreement for purchase and sale between the school board and the county of Volusia. I think it's been stated, and we as your staff do firmly believe, that Hope Place is an excellent adaptive reuse of this property. It helps our students and families. It serves a community purpose. And then thirdly, of concern to us, it eliminates another one of our aging and deteriorating facilities from our inventory, which helps us with our liabilities as well as helps us with expenditures. I think one of the speakers tonight mentioned that they had been working on this for 4 years. And I think that while we have not been working on it for 4 years, it does take a long time for a vision to be able to address all of the details in order to move it forward. And I think the challenge for us as a school district in working with the county as well as the supporters of Halifax Urban Ministries is how could we address our issues, since there was an underlying assumption that we were not using Hearst. And while Hearst was vacant to most people in the public, it was not vacant in terms of the operations of the school district. The school district has been using Hearst since 2010, which is when Champion Elementary opened, which was the replacement school for Hearst. We have a maintenance hub located in Building 11. We have an incredible amount of training and professional development activities that occur at Hearst. We do have some staff that operate out of Hearst. Some of them I consider transient staff because Hearst is located closer perhaps to their home. And after they're done visiting schools, they'll stop at Hearst and work there instead of coming to their office in DeLand. But we do have fiddlers who offices out of Hearst. And fiddlers, for those of you who may not be familiar with that acronym, Fiddlers is our Florida Diagnostic and Learning Resource System staff, and they do a lot of professional development for our ESE teachers and staff. So I think the biggest challenge for us was working with all the stakeholders to address those issues, because we absolutely felt like Hope Place was the right vision for Hearst and makes good sense not only for that area but for the community, and the layout of the buildings are absolutely perfect for it. I think that perhaps after Mr. Deneen was very, very gracious in recognizing our issue, and part of what you'll see as the consideration is 3 years worth of usage of various county facilities at no charge to the district. I think he might have not been so gracious had he seen our schedule before he made that offer, but we were very, very happy to receive that offer because it now gives us some time to undergo some in-depth analysis of our needs. I do think it's surprising to many what we do for training and professional development. And I think you may be more familiar with it than others, but when you realize that more than half of our teachers now have 5 years or less experience, it's very important for us to reach out to them on a very regular basis in a variety of different ways. So we have a considerable amount of usage that we undertake at Hearst. So let me just go through a couple of the specifics for you. The purchase is for a consideration of $200,000. That is what we consider the land value to be. Certainly, while we were considering replacement of Hearst, we recognized that in addition to the costs for remodeling of Hearst, which were considerable, as you know what a new school costs, but for us, our demographics and enrollment patterns were telling us to go elsewhere for the replacement of Hearst. And we did talk quite a bit about the consideration. It's never been the practice of the school board, whatever school board's been in office, to donate property regardless of the worthwhile cause. But we do think land value is a reasonable and fair price, and we think that keeping this property for community purposes helps with that justification. Also for the consideration, as I already said, the county has agreed to provide the school district up to 3 years through October of 2019 with additional usage of a variety of different facilities. We are working with county staff now on how to actually make that process work. In part of the conversations we've been having, and they have gone on for a little while, at one point in time we talked about Boston Avenue, which I'm pleased to report to you we no longer own. We did close on Boston Avenue, but during the course of the negotiations for this, we were looking at what to do with the Boston Avenue property. And for a while, we were considering renovation of Boston Avenue for training and professional development. We were looking at working with Easter Seals, and the county then graciously agreed to help us with that, and that is the reason for the $800,000 loan. We have kept that provision in here, even though we did receive a contract, and now I can say to you we have closed on that. That $800,000 loan is with no interest. It is available for up to 3 years and is due in 1 year upon us availing ourselves of it. However, the contract does provide for an extension of two additional years. In addition to the agreement for sale and purchase, there are also agreements that address the facility's usage, which I've explained to you, the interest-free loan, which I mentioned, and then lastly, we call it the post-occupancy agreement. Again, as part of addressing the number of activities we have and our ability to continue them, Building 11, which is the former ESE classroom building. It was built in 1989. It's not as old as the rest of the Hearst facility. That is where our Northeast Maintenance Hub has been operating out of, and the contract and of course the post-occupancy agreement does provide that we can stay there indefinitely, the buyer will provide separate metering for that facility. We will keep the utilities in our name through our use, which is through September 6th of this year. That's primarily to get us through the training and professional development associated with this summer. And then we would take on the utilities associated with Building 11. We are able to vacate that space at our discretion. And obviously, as we analyze our training and professional development needs and what the appropriate long-term solution is for that, we'll be exploring other opportunities for our maintenance hub and storage activities and whatnot. I feel like I have gone through all of the provisions in the contract and the other documents. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have some.
As Hope Place has children settled in its new quarters, where will those children attend school?
Well, there's several options. If the children come to us from a Volusia County school and they are already homeless, we are obligated by federal law to allow them to continue at the school that they are already enrolled in. And that's a practice that we have in place today. And we provide transportation for that. Now, her school itself is zoned to Champion Elementary, Hinson Middle School, and Mainland High School. So if the children come to us from elsewhere and don't have a history in one of our schools, or in fact wish to go to their assigned school, we'll be providing transportation. And those are the zone schools. So it really will depend on the situation that the child is in and whether or not they want to continue to avail themselves, if they are already homeless, of provisions that are allowed by law. Workers from our schools, and in particular, Ms. Pam Woods, who is our homeless liaison, are very involved with our children who are homeless, our students who are homeless, and they work directly with HUM now on students who we have today. And so that would continue.
Okay. And I also have a comment. I attended the Volusia County Council meeting several weeks ago, along with Mr. Russell and Mr. Dyer and Ms. Morrissey and the group from HUM, as well as Hope Place advocates. And I was very impressed with the county and their generosity. They're willing to bend over backwards to help the school district. That this is a unique situation, that we are working hand in hand for a common goal, and that's our own very Volusia County citizens. And it's a wonderful opportunity to be a participant of this, I guess, historical kind of agreement that we have here. And I do appreciate all the work that the county has done with their staff, meeting with our staff, and all the work and the hours and the creative hours that both teams have put into it. So I do appreciate it very much, all the work that you have done to make this possible. So thank you.
I don't have questions, I have comments, and I am excited about this. I've worked with the homeless, I've worked with juvenile justice, I've worked with the abused, neglected, abandoned, much of my career. And all of my adult life, probably in the last few years more so, I've used the term living legacy. And what that means to me is that while I'm alive, I'm leaving a legacy that will impact the future generations. I feel like partnering with HUM and Hope Place does this exactly, that we are offering an opportunity that not many can do, and I'm grateful to be part of this.
Thank you. I want to thank our staff for working diligently on this. I want to thank everyone that participated. I had an opportunity to attend Faith last night as they talk about the homeless population on a larger scale. So hopefully the county and the municipalities can come up with a solution similar to this to address our other homeless population. But thank you for all of your hard work, Sarah Lee. We really appreciate it, you and your staff.
Thank you.
Mr. Superintendent.
Without hesitation, the superintendent recommends approval of number 1, agreement for purchase and sale of Hearst Elementary property with the County of Volusia. Number 2, facilities use agreement with the County of Volusia. Number 3, interest-free loan agreement with the County of Volusia. And 4, post-closing occupancy agreement with the County of Volusia.
You heard the superintendent's recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we take a photo, please,
With all
of
those
those
involved.
parties that are involved, and even our business community? I think this is a great time to celebrate.
Yes, it's one time we'll all be together.
It's a long road, we made it.
Ms. Cusack. Take a picture. Mrs. Hussein, Ms. Bishop, we're gonna move out on the stairwell. Yes, that was.
Where's John?
Exactly. He probably went to the party.
I would mind it doing that, but I was reserving it.
But we're going to take a break before his part. But Vicky will we'll take a break.
He didn't realize we were.
Okay.
I understand.
It's exciting.
It is.
It's exciting to be part of something so great.
So now you all have to visit at your schools.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I go out to, Melanie and I went to, no, Atlantic. Did you go with me to Atlantic? Or you met before e-learning?
Oh, yeah.
You and I went to e-learning together, right? Out to Atlantic. He's coming.
He's coming. Went to the restroom.
You should move a little bit. Oh, tell me. I told my big thing. I should have married.
That's right. Call him.
That was good.
I should have gotten a silent conclusion and comments, and I did very well.
It was perfect.
You were in the picture. Oh, good. Okay. Didn't want you to sneak in.
No.
Moving on to item 6.01, approval of consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Moving to action item 7.01, recognizing the naming of the Media Center at Campbell Middle School to Ms. Vicki J. Presley Media Complex. Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This will be presented by Mr. Gary Marks, Area Superintendent, and Ms. Kelly Lewis, Principal of Campbell Middle School. And of course, Ms. Presley. Everyone looks rested after they read.
I did.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, Superintendent Russell, it is a pleasure to be with all of you this evening. I am joined this evening by Mrs. Kelly Lewis, principal at Campbell Middle School, and someone we all know and love, Mrs. Vicki Presley, former principal and area superintendent with Volusia County Schools. Tonight, Mrs. Lewis will be sharing information about a very special recognition for this very special person.
Good evening. Madam Chair, Superintendent Russell, members of the board. Campbell Middle School has a long-standing tradition of honoring those who have been instrumental in the lives of children. Stated in the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Campbell Middle School has served as a village to many in the greater Daytona area. I could not begin to list the names of all those who have contributed to the rich history of this outstanding school. However, there is one person whose commitment to the school and the surrounding community has been unwavering, with over 36 years of service to Volusia County Schools, 25 of which have been spent at Campbell Middle School. In appreciation of her outstanding service, leadership, and support, I, Mrs. Kelly Lewis, on behalf of the Campbell Middle community, would like to submit this special request to honor Mrs. Vicki J. Presley. Mrs. Vicki J. Presley began her educational career in Volusia County School at Campbell Middle School, where she served as a classroom teacher, assistant principal, and principal. During these years, she began nurturing and cultivating an expectation of learning and excellence in every student, faculty member, and staff member that she encountered. It is with this uncompromising standard of excellence that she challenged the stereotypes while celebrating its achievement. Mrs. Presley transitioned from a school-based administrator to human resource director and area superintendent of schools, but she continued to mentor, advise, and support the Campbell Middle School team. As evidenced by her professional practice, community support, and leadership initiatives, we, the Campbell Middle School community, are requesting the renaming of our media center to the Vicki J. Presley Media Complex. The honor would serve as a legacy to our commitment to the continued excellence in education, cultural awareness, servant leadership, and community engagement evidenced by Mrs. Presley. Campbell Middle School continues to grow, not only in student population, but also in its academic achievement, cultural awareness, and community involvement. Mrs. Presley has been instrumental in the growth and achievement of this community gem, Campbell Middle School. It is my goal to ensure that the legacy continues through the actions, initiatives, and shared beliefs in the limitless potential of our students. I have learned to lead with grace and humility while practicing with purpose and moving with intention, all from Mrs. Presley. I humbly ask that you join us, the Campbell Middle School family, in adding this permanent honor as a token of appreciation and a beacon of hope to all that is to come at Campbell Middle School.
That's very good, Kelly. Thank you. The superintendent recommends approval for the media center at Campbell Middle School to be named the Vicki J. Presley Media Complex.
I move.
Second.
Okay. The motion has been properly moved and second. Any conversation, discussion?
And how will that be displayed? Will there be a big plaque?
Yes, we will have a formal ceremony later this spring, and we will have a plaque. And we also want to have a portrait of Mrs. Presley inside our media complex.
Oh, okay, and are we invited?
All will be invited, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Well-deserved honor. You're an amazing woman, and I am so grateful to be part of you being honored for that. Thank you.
Ms. Presley, thank you for what you've done. I know it means a lot to you, but it means a lot to all of us for what you've done serving this school district for the time that you have, and your commitment and caring of children and their growth in our community. Sorry, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everything that you do for us and have done for us. And this is not enough to honor all that you've done, but certainly something that I think is well-deserved.
What a wonderful footprint you have left. Congratulations.
Mr. Superintendent, you want to say anything?
Mrs. Presley, you are a hero to many students and to many teachers and administrators. I remember when you spoke to all the administrators in December, and those that worked with you in one way or another raised their hand, and almost every hand went up. You have truly left a footprint on the leadership in this district, in the lives of children, and in your support, unyielding support of teachers. And I count it a great blessing that you are a friend, and still I see you as a colleague of mine.
Ms. Presley, words probably can't express what I would love to say to you. Your retirement party said it all. You're well loved, you're admired, and you're respected. And I'd like all of your guests to stand this evening
because they have truly made a difference in my life.
And just to see all the people you've groomed to take leadership roles, that is a true succession plan. I'm big on that. It is our goal to pull and make sure those that have talent, that we tap into that talent and groom them for leadership roles for them to take their rightful place. So thank you. You know I love Campbell. I attended Campbell. Campbell is very dear to me, and you're very deserving, and congratulations.
Thank you.
So with that said, we got to vote. So the motion has been properly moved and second. I call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Your motion is Carried, and we have a new Vicki J. Presley Media. Ms. Presley?
First, I just would like to say to Mrs. Lewis and the Campbell Middle School family, thank you so very much for this honor. It truly is thoughtful and it really is prestigious. You know, Campbell has been a successful school, and when they say no man is an island, it certainly is true. Because when I look back and around, I see so many people who contributed to the success of Campbell Middle School. When I was there as a teacher, there as an administrator, there as a principal, it was always my desire for the media center to be the hub of the school. And I challenged the students and the staff there because so many of the students were from low socioeconomic level homes, and most of them were on free and reduced lunch. But I wanted them to have that joy of reading, the joy of exploring, even if they did not have the opportunity to go other places. And when I could see children filing into the media center in the morning, whether it was for tutoring, whether it was for homework help, whether it was for reading, my heart was excited because that's really what it's all about. My staff worked so diligently to help make Campbell a successful school. And Mrs. Lewis, I want you to know that I pray for the continued success of Campbell Middle School each and every day. And most importantly, I do thank you for this honor, and I will continue to support Campbell Middle School in every way. Again, thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Can you and your guest, Ms. Presley, please join us on the stairwell?
Yes, my guest, please. Thank you for being here too.
And the principal.
Yeah, everybody. Ms. Lewis?
You want us to?
Yes.
see we're kind of going in that direction, you know. Oh, nice.
I want to, but they told us we were going to break. So I helped my water. The turkey?
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I've got like probably 40, 45 wild turkeys that come out. They feed the time. When they feed the cows and horses, they hang around. Yes. As soon as they're done eating, they go back.
You don't need a cattle hound, do you? An Australian blue cattle hound dog.
How old?
He's a year.
Wow, is that it? Are you trying to get it? Somebody is?
It's my house.
Oh, is it?
He's not meant to be in a house. So part of my heart, I grew up with him. He chewed up my couch.
Oh, no.
I really did make the last payment just as he did it.
Oh, no. See, I have 2 dogs already. I would love to if I didn't have 2.
He's
Yeah,
really,
there's one.
just so you know, he's really sweet and friendly. I don't know if my husband was so
We didn't have you prepared today, huh? Oh, sorry.
So I was like, you have a farm, I'm asking.
Yeah.
He doesn't belong in a house. He deserves to run. Please.
Okay.
Even 10, I think.
Excuse me, audience. We hate to do this, but we need to take us a 15-minute break, and we will return in 15 minutes. Thank you. On to 18.01, announcements by Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Teacher Duty Day, Student Holiday, Friday, March 8th. Today, Monday, March 21st, 2016, through Friday, March 25th, 2016. 12-month employees work 4 10-hour days, May 21st, 2016, through Thursday, March 24th, 2016. School and district offices will be closed Friday, March 25th, 2016. Classes will resume on Monday, March 28th, 2016. FFEA Annual District Conference will be Saturday, April 2nd, 2016, 7:30 a.m. at DeLand High School. Futures Foundation Caribbean Fundraising Event will be Saturday, April 2nd, 2016, 6 p.m. in the Rolex 24 Lounge. The next regular school board meeting will be Tuesday, April 12th, 2016, 5:30 p.m. This boardroom in the DeLand Administrative Complex.
Thank you.
Isn't our next board meeting March 29th?
Well, it's the regular board.
That's
The
a call.
regular-
Yes.
okay.
But you are correct. We will have that special board meeting on Tuesday, March 29th, 2016, 5:30 p.m. in the boardroom in the DeLand Administrative Complex.
Thank you. District updates, Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we could pull up the, there we go. Our district continues to strive to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Currently, the district budget deficit exceeds $6 million. However, last spring, our district reduced cost, eliminated central office positions, and began restructuring the central office, resulting in a savings of $10 million. If these steps had not been taken, the deficit would now exceed $16 million. Overall, our mission in operations is to improve practices and efficiencies, thus demonstrating appropriate use of public funds. Recently, in the area of procurements, purchasing, the Florida Association of Public Procurement Officials notified the district that we are one of 13 agencies in Florida to earn the award of Excellence in Public Procurement for 2016. We have met or exceeded procurement benchmarks and best practices in areas of innovation, professionalism, e-procurement, productivity, and leadership attributes of the procurement function. I would like to commend Mr. Greg Aiken for his leadership, Mrs. Maria Kraft, the coordinator of purchasing and warehouse services, and the entire purchasing and warehouse staff for this award. In keeping with the theme of good stewardship, the following individuals will serve on the Project Oversight Committee for the half-cent capital projects: Mitch Ayton, Sandy Burke, Dan Bolerjack, Ben Flowers, and Jim Mather. Due to time constraints, I will delay an update on House Bill 7029 and the House and Senate amendments. This is a mammoth bill. It will have huge academic, financial, and operational impact on our school district. We will provide information in the form of a memo and a board presentation in a future meeting. And finally, as Mrs. Morrissey did notify you earlier, that the sale of the Boston Avenue property is now.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to items 20.01, administrative appointments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Dana Page Pender, Chief Human Resource Officer, will be making this presentation.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Superintendent Russell. It is my pleasure to share the recommendation of Ms. Danielle Leffler to the position of Assistant Principal at Atlantic High School. Ms. Leffler is currently the School Improvement Grant Program Manager at Atlantic High School. She began her teaching career at Atlantic High School in 2011. Since then, she has worked as an academic coach and a math coach. Ms. Leffler's area of certification are in educational leadership, mathematics, physical education, and ESOL. Ms. Leffler, if you can please stand.
The superintendent recommends the approval of this administrative appointment.
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Congratulations. Well deserved.
Voted.
And so many certifications. My goodness. But congratulations. I know you're a good shark.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those who oppose, the same sign. The motion's carried. Congratulations.
Yep.
Thank you. Moving on to 21.01, student discipline regarding attendance, followed by student discipline regarding transportation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This will be presented by Ms. Cynthia Fisher, Coordinator of Educational Enhancements.
Good evening, Chairman Wright, school board members, and Mr. Russell. This evening we have two requests concerning student discipline. For the first request, a recommendation is made that the superintendent request the board extend the suspension on students Alpha ID 1PXPD, 1PVCW, 1PKWR, 1TPVU, 1QDHZ, 1PVXN, 1UPEK, and 1QHPC from school attendance through April 12, 2016 for the purpose of further study and evaluation.
The superintendent recommends the board extend the suspension of the aforementioned students from school attendance through April 12, 2016 for the purpose of further study and evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Ayes have it, the motion is carried. Ms. Fisher?
For the second request, a recommendation is made that the superintendent request the board extend the suspension on student Alpha ID 1VJKH from school-sponsored transportation through April 12, 2016 for the purpose of further study and evaluation.
The superintendent recommends the board extend the suspension of the aforementioned student from school-sponsored transportation through April 12, 2016 for the purpose of further study and evaluation.
Can you repeat that?
It's down the second paragraph, the one
Did I give you the wrong?
Oh, okay.
The paper says 1VWMG,
G.
and then the next paragraph it says 1VJKH.
Let me check. It should be 1VJKH.
Yeah, there's somebody else's student alpha ID at the top, but no details.
On which document?
On the school bus trip. It says at the
Okay,
top.
on the, just the one for, not the motion, but the,
They have it on both.
okay, well, I will correct that. Thank you.
We are speaking of student 1VJKH.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, that's the one I made the motion.
That's the one, okay.
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The ayes have it, the motion is carried. Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
Thank you.
Moving to 22.01, Richard Milburn Middle School.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This will be presented by Ms. Cindy Fisher, Coordinator of Educational Enhancements, Dr. Rhonda McPherson, Charter School Manager, Mr. Michael Dyer, General Counsel, and Mr. Art Sands, Principal of Richard Milburn Academy.
Well, good evening again, Chairman Wright, school board members, and Mr. Russell. I'm joined this evening by Dr. Rhonda McPherson, who is the Charter Manager for Volusia County Schools, Art Sands, who is the School Principal at Richard Milburn Academy, Mr. Dyer, who is the Chief Counsel for Volusia County Schools, and I think Ms. Traywick may be somewhere in the house in case we have questions, who is our Director of Finance. Charter schools are public schools that are operated by private companies or organizations. Richard Milburn opened as a Volusia County charter for grades 9 through 12. I believe that was in August of 2005 on the east side of the county and served students over there. They expanded in August of 2009 and opened a campus here in DeLand. It was still a 9 through 12 campus. In I believe, August of 2013, the middle grades were added on a separate charter to both sites. So grades 6, 7, and 8 were added to both sites in August of 2013. And again, that is with a separate charter. We received notification from the Department of Education at the end of January that Richard Milburn, the middle schools, had, quote unquote, a deteriorating financial condition, which required a corrective action plan to be submitted to the Department of Education within 30 days. Richard Milburn did submit their plan to the Department of Education, and that included an intent not to renew the middle school charter, which expires at the end of this school year. But they also requested that the high school, grades 9 through 12, be expanded to include grade 8, which they felt would impact fewer of the existing students that they currently serve. There are two important things to note this evening. One is that to date, we have not received a response from the Department of Education regarding Richard Milburn's corrective action plan, so we are still waiting on that. And it's also important for you all to know that should the Department of Education approve Richard Milburn's proposal, that it would require an amendment to the high school charter by adding grade 8, which would then be brought forward to this board for approval prior to implementation. So at this time, I will turn things over to Mr. Sands for any comments that he has, and after which we'll entertain any questions by the board.
I just would like to say thank you to the Volusia County School Board for allowing us the opportunity to at least explore the middle school. One of our board chairmen, Mr. Sam Smith, was instrumental early in the, well, I guess probably about 5 or 6 years ago, in bringing about the middle school, because at that particular time we had a lot of requests from our middle school principals to get those overage kids somewhere. And so therefore we opted to go with and along with the board and along with some of the other school officials, to go with the middle school. But in terms of from a financial standpoint of view, and the number of kids that we projected to come into the school so that we could operate has not occurred over those years. And so therefore we've entered into this corrective action plan. We presented the corrective action plan, and we think this would be the best for moving forward. And so if you have, that's the end of what I have to say, but if there are any questions for me or for any of us, I think we'll be. Yeah. Oh, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
It's all right. As Ms. Fisher aptly pointed out, this is a state-mandated process. Statute requires the Department of Education to review the audited financial statements of charter schools, which is what happened here. The district and the charter school were notified by the state of the appearance of a deteriorating financial condition for the school, which there's a statutory definition for that as well, but it largely means that it gives the appearance that there's inadequate revenue to meet expenses. Both the charter school and the district and the board are required to enter into a corrective action plan, which is provided to the Department of Education. As Ms. Fisher pointed out, we're still awaiting the outcome of that. The timeline for sending the corrective action plan, the onus is on the charter school, but is extraordinarily tight timeline. And so, as Mr. Russell pointed out to you at the last meeting, the department actually rejected our request to extend that deadline to allow us the opportunity to present the plan to you, because you are the sponsor for the school. District staff is not, you are, as the board. It's a contract with this board. So all the information is attached to the agenda item, and as Ms. Fisher pointed out, if the corrective action plan is approved by the state, it would require a subsequent step to return to you to amend the charter for the high school to incorporate the 8th grade. And Mr. Sands, I don't know if you have any, I don't think you disagree with anything I said, but.
Not at all.
Okay.
Your recommendation?
There is no recommendation.
Oh, that's right, okay. Any questions?
Yes, you feel fairly confident with your 8th through 12th grades?
We do. With the 8th graders, yes, we do.
Okay, what kind of enrollment do you have? Do you know total?
For middle or high?
How about 8 through 12?
8 through 12, well, we're looking at, for the, I break it up for you. In high school, it's about a little better than maybe, let's say about 300. For the middle school, we're looking at less than 100, maybe 70, about 70 to 80 students. It relatively moves,
That's
fluctuates,
healthy.
but about 70 to 80 students.
That's a healthy number.
Okay.
And I wish you well with those kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was honored last year to go to your high school graduation.
Right.
It was very, very touching. So I look forward to your continued success at the high school level.
Thank you.
And thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you very much, and we greatly appreciate having you, and of course, Chairwoman at our graduation.
And I was going to say, if you get an opportunity to go visit the facility, it's a very nice facility. Dr. Hill, anything? Okay. That's it. We good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Best of luck, sir.
(25.01) board comments. Who would like to start us off?
I was a very busy woman this last couple weeks. I had made my comments earlier about the counselor suggesting I marry well, and I failed to say I did, just in case my husband's listening. I started off with Pine Ridge High School. They had an awesome ag event. It took up the whole backfield, the coolest animals. They had these big engines. The community was behind it and supporting it, so it was very exciting to see. And they had the best caramel corn ever. I went to, on a Saturday, I went to a social studies fair at Mainland. I had been invited. Also, they had computer programming, multicultural fair going on, so I was able to go to each exciting event at that great school. I was fortunate enough to go on cleaning inspections. Little do you know, they start at 6 a.m. So I was at Enterprise, bright and sunshiny, or dark at 5:45. And they were a unique school in the sense that they have legacy employees, and their times are from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So when we went in the rooms, I'd see the carpet wasn't vacuumed, and I didn't realize, but we ran into the gentleman doing the hard work, and he was hustling through there, and they passed their inspection. So I had another school, though, that did not pass, Sunrise. So I thought, I want to go on a re-inspect. And this school was more traditional in the hours of the cleaning company. So I went on the re-inspect, and they absolutely passed. But what I find in their way is they fail, pass, fail, pass, fail, pass. So I'm looking forward to not chasing that cleaning inspection. I want to express gratitude because I was told at one point they were going to cut the hours over spring break of some of their employees. So I started asking questions, and they are not. And I am grateful that they chose not to. And I'm also grateful that they don't inspect my home. I was impressed with the baseboards, no dust on the blinds and up on the windows. It was impressive. I also visited 8 other schools and my principals and went through. I won't list them all. I went to a DAC meeting. I did free physical. Well, there was a charge for physicals. I did so that the school could fundraise for Deltona Middle, so the parents could pay a portion. Rafael Ramirez, I met with him from Halifax, and I don't know if I've expressed it to the board, but I am very committed to my 2 high schools in Deltona getting hospital rooms in the schools for the Health Science Academy. They need real-world experience. So I have been very active behind the scenes talking to all 3 hospitals because I did ask the instructors to give me their dream list. I said, don't hold anything back, don't worry, just give me this list. Well, then I went, when I saw it. But it is so awesome. And after going to Nashville, our children deserve the best. So I'm willing to make all those requests and ask of our hospital. So Halifax is going to partner. They are going to participate, so that is exciting. I went to yesterday to Pine Ridge High School for their first annual Medical Challenge Quiz Bowl. And it was pretty cool to see the kids step up and know all the medical terms. And they were stressed and sweating. I also went to the Central Florida Public School Board Coalition in Orlando that represents 13 counties, over 1.2 million students. I put a few papers on your desk, and they had challenged us each to create a one-page synopsis of our K through 3 best practices for reading. And then they had challenged us to do graduation rates, so I heard half the assignment. So they are going to send all these electronically, but the ones I received yesterday are pretty cool. We talked about, Manatee gave a presentation, GradeLevelReading.net, and they are focused on children of poverty. It's a national program, and they actually have something called a Graduation Enhancement Technician in each of their elementary schools. These are not instructional leaders. They have to have at least an AA degree with some experience, social service type experience, and they actually do the legwork. They go into the children's homes. They do demographics, like why are certain areas missing school, and they actually put $6,000 into lice treatment. So because there was a whole problem with that in their community. And then they put, they found out on rainy days a lot of kids didn't come to school. So they had donations for raincoats and umbrellas. They had walking buses. They actually started bringing dental vans to the school because kids with dental issues weren't showing up, and their appointments were 6 to 12 weeks out for the kids, so there was missing too much school. They did talk about the VPK, and they actually got the Patterson Foundation. I think we should hook up with them, give them $100,000 for attendance posters and contests. So what they did was they have an everyday counts, because when children miss school, of course there's a 50% gap in readiness before kindergarten of children of poverty. 1 in 10 miss nearly a month of school, and they lose 2 to 3 months every summer if they're not in a home that's teaching reading. They even started a pilot at 2 schools that if the children get perfect attendance, they put their name in a drawing, and the child that wins a pair of free shoes, and so does the parents for getting them there. So that was kind of a neat idea. They do a lot of family enrichment programs in the summer. And then I did get legislative updates for over an hour. And that bill is a big mess.
Octopus.
It is. And they call it the education train, because, and it bounced back and forth between House and Senate, each wanting something. Now, he did say that a school board can alter SREF with a supermajority when building. That would equal what charters currently do. So that was something that surprised me. But what he explained, this was the Orange County public school lobbyist, and what he explained was with the 1% mandatory, or the money they're going to give, that will bring Orange County about $49 million. And then he explained the breakdown, and he said it ends up with about $6 million left for available new monies. That's for teacher raises, programs, everything. He said a 1% raise in Orange County is $7.5 million. So a lot of us are not being served by that 1%. He reminded that in 2007, we were actually $127 more per student, but they like to go on 2008, where we are actually now $54 over 2008. But he said that since legislators like averages, to remind them that in the last 9 years, they've given an average of $6 per year per student. So I thought that was like, whoa, I hadn't thought of that. And then he said, I just took a ton of notes, but there's all these different rules. There is an actual law about VPK that if a child's parent wants them to stay an extra year because they feel like they're not quite mature enough, they could potentially do that with MET guidelines. There's a lot of guidelines with it. So I thought that was interesting. And I think that's all I had.
Okay.
I want to celebrate the PTAs in our county. There was a Founders Day program at Cypress Creek Elementary on the 25th of February, where a lot of PTA presidents and other members showed up to celebrate the founding of PTA. And also this past Saturday, the 5th, PTA Council held a golf tournament trying to raise money. We only had about 8 people show up, but it's 8 more than we ever had before because it was the inaugural affair. So, and also I wanted to congratulate Sweetwater Elementary for their fundraiser last Saturday night. I won't tell them what you did, but I know you raised $13,000 for the school. So congratulations to all the PTA members. Also, I want to thank Andrew Spar and Teresa Marks for participating in our Issues in Education forum that was held in Ormond Beach on the 27th on Friday. It was very interesting, even though I could only stay for the first hour. It was very engaging. And of course, on a Saturday, you took your time extra to devote it to the discussion of education, so thank you. Also, a shout out to Robert Milholland and Dr. Grace Kellemeyer for running the Social Studies Fair and the World Language Fairs, respectively, which we're running concurrently. Hopefully next year they might have a different weekend. That way we can all attend them a little bit better. But they both were just fabulous fairs. Thanks to Cindy Martin for inviting me into her classroom on the 2nd of March when I got to read Dr. Seuss. It was Read Across America Day. She has the most fabulous first graders who taught me technology I didn't even know existed. So, but it was fabulous. She's got, I could adopt her first graders anytime. Also, I too went on a surprise inspection of Creekside Middle School, and it failed miserably. We will be going for a re-inspection, so I'm hoping for a better situation. Also, last Monday, I volunteered to be on the nominating committee for the Florida School Board Association for our next year's officers. So I got to sit with 15 other members from different counties to help promote our new officers of President-elect, Vice President, and Treasurer. I think I wish the Village Builders industry luck with their parade of homes, because the more we have people who are purchasing homes, their jobs are here, their children will go to school with us. Thank you, Mr. Russell, for your continued participation in attending our schools. And it's so nice to see all of my board members at a lot of our meetings. So I wish everyone a well-deserved spring break. Hope you all get off work for a little while. So have a good time. Don't get sunburned.
There are big things happening in Pearson, and hopefully in the next couple board meetings we'll be able to bring that here and show the board. But I got to meet with about 50 students over several periods who are all actively building the bus shelter, and are just, their eyes are opening up as to what's going on in the world around them. They're getting to see that they can put their hands to work. And the teacher said he has not been able to really grasp their attention before this time, so he's really excited. We're going to try to work to put together a summer program there. We've already reached out to a surrounding county who is putting together a substandard bus shelter and see if they're interested in working with us to let our students build them. So there's a lot of excitement. The city of Pearson's excited about it. And I think I've already reached out to several business partners who are willing to pay to facilitate those to be built around the county. So there's a lot coming in that direction. And then the second thing I want to say is one of my patients, who's also a second grade teacher at DeBerry, was diagnosed with a terminal illness some months ago, and she is a real trooper. Her desire was to forget about that and get back to the students. And I commend her for it, because she is an exceptional student, or exceptional teacher, and a phenomenal lady. anyhow, the students know that. They see it in her, and they started an initiative to make T-shirts with compassion in action, and they put together a team, which is her and another educator there, Mr. LaPlante. And so she asked if we were interested in purchasing T-shirts, and I bought them for my entire staff, and we were able to wear them today, and had about 8 of the students from DeBerry Elementary come to my office, and along with the teachers, and take pictures, and got to spend some time together. So it's just amazing because you don't normally get to think about 6, 7-year-old kids and how they really have the ability to care about people, even when they don't necessarily weren't raised in an environment where they were taught how to do that. They just seem to exude those properties, and they could have not chosen a better teacher to do that for. So I told Mrs. Ritter I was going to bring this and encourage the board to buy a T-shirt for her and for those students because they're doing good things there. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. How much are the T-shirts?
$15.
Okay.
We could take a vote. So Ms. Costello could probably buy them for the rest of you since she's right
here. Well, since we're talking about money, so we can get $15 for T-shirts, $100 for your ticket for.
I bought mine.
Yes, the only person, that's right, for the Caribbean Fair for futures. So you mailed yours in.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. You were supposed to give it to me. You're allowing him to beat me, but that's okay. Okay. So I forgive you all on that. I had an opportunity to go out to the Legacy Scholars where they had a joint meeting between a company out of New Hampshire who actually provided some technology through the Legacy Scholars at the United Methodist Children's Home School to help with STEM. And that is a joint effort between the Volusia County Schools, Mentis Protege, and Bethune-Cookman. So we got a chance to go out there and hang out. I was there part of the day because I had to catch a flight, but I enjoyed that. Had a chance to visit Osceola Elementary School for African American Read-In. And it was really a great experience. And the students told me all of the African Americans that they knew that were famous, but none of them said Mary McLeod Bethune. And I said, do any of you know Mary McLeod Bethune? And some of them said, she's a lady somewhere around here. So I said, okay. So I have invited the entire 5th grade class. I'm going to sponsor them to come to Bethune for a day, so that they can learn about Mary McLeod Bethune, because I told them we have great heroes locally, but so they're going to come to Bethune-Cookman in May. Attended the Volusia County Social Studies Fair with Mrs. Cuthbert, and that particular day, I think all of us had multiple activities because we had something going across the street to Daytona State that I had to attend, and then Linda had some others, and I'm sure that day we had about 4 or 5 events going on. So yes, please, in the future, if we can make sure that we don't have all of these activities on the same day, that would be a great help. Read Across America was able to do that. The dental van, they have a dental van somewhere over here that will come to the schools. We just need to let them know now if it's something, or get with the principals, if it's something we want to plan next fall. They try to plan 6 months in advance. I know we did this maybe 2 years ago at Turkey Small.
Yeah, the health department. It's
okay.
The health department.
Okay, okay.
We provide that.
But I think you do have to request if you want them to come to your school. So we do have those types of events. Last week, I had an opportunity, as Mom Joanna Caney Oliveri stated, I met with 3 moms. We had a good meeting. I had a conversation with Miss Gina Duncan from Equity, Florida, in reference to transgender. I met with a group of parents who was concerned about middle school sports. And I didn't get a chance to follow up with a group that want to talk about textbooks. But what I want to bring forth a recommendation. I had an opportunity to speak with the superintendent, but I wanted your buy-in and your approval. During the month of April, maybe having a special workshop where these individual groups can come in and speak to us. The groups that I did have an opportunity to speak to, I did tell them that if it was approved, they would need to provide us at least 7 days in advance, pretty much what they want to have a discussion about. So if we need staff available, they would have an opportunity to review the information, and we can have some honest dialogue. But all of them have some really interesting information they would like to share, and trying to embrace here in our community. What would it be your pleasure if we allowed to have a workshop and give each of these groups 30 minutes to 45, depending on all three of all four decide to attend? It was another group, I can't find their contact information.
It's the peer group?
Yes.
Yes, I have that.
Okay, okay. So what is the pleasure of our body? And it's something we don't have to vote on today, but I want you to think about. But is this something you think you'll be interested in?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, all right.
Not before a school board meeting, are you talking about 2 hours?
No. What I'm recommending, look at a non-school board Tuesday, but keep it on a Tuesday from maybe a 5:30, 7:30, or 5:30 to 8, to give them a chance to, like I said, maybe a 30-minute window so that they can present, we can have some dialogue, and then move to the next group. But staff to have some information prepared, they would know how to be prepared, and we'll have a chance to actually come up with our questions on how we can make, just discuss some of the issues. Okay? All right. So we can talk about that on March. We'll put that on the March agenda since we're voting on items. March 29th?
Oh, you mean
No, not the 29th, we have 2 items.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. But that's
Maybe
my.
we could do it for April for me. Or sooner.
No. What I'm saying is look at it for April, but to decide.
Okay.
Look at an April date.
I was remiss, there's one more person I'd like to congratulate, is Dr. Amy Hall, who ran Family Days, Port Orange Family Days. It was a huge event, and she was able to give scholarships to all schools in the Port Orange area, totaling $16,500. So the work that went into that with Dr. Hall and her staff, it needs to be quite, she needs a great deal of congratulations. It was well done.
Anything?
Yes, Madam Chair. We have quite a few recognitions coming forward. Because of the delay in the school grade, we have schools that have now been awarded the 5-star. It's close to 60, I believe. We have music, art, athletic, academic awards as well. And this will be a very large audience. So what we're proposing is the May 10th, 2016 meeting, that it would be held at a school. And the primary purpose, a high school, where every purpose is for recognitions. I was told we do have a couple time certain resolutions that you would have to pass in the consent agenda, but that would be the bulk of the meeting. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and we will get more information to everyone.
Okay.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Mr. Sims, nothing? Okay. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.